young Homer, here to guide you further into the rise and fall of Zeus. Tonight, we continue Series 9, Weaknesses, Pitfalls, and the Slow Decline of Zeus, with Episode 75, Overextension, Zeus's obsession with control. In this tale, we find Zeus striving to hold dominion over every aspect of the cosmos. His desire to govern mortals, gods, and fate itself stretches his influence thin as he attempts to manage even the smallest workings of the world. Yet, as his power reaches ever further, it begins to strain, and cracks emerge in his once unassailable rule. This story is one of ambition turned against itself, reminding us that even the strongest must accept the limits of their reach. As we enter this story of ambition and overreach, allow yourself to settle deeply into the warmth of your bed, feeling safe, grounded, and fully supported. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a slow, deep breath in, letting calm fill your chest, as steady as the enduring roots of an ancient forest. As you exhale, release any lingering tension, allowing your body to grow heavy, sinking into stillness and peace. This is your time to unwind, to let go, and to find ease. Now focus on the gentle rhythm of your breath, each inhale and exhale as quiet and constant as the turning of the heavens. Take a slightly deeper breath in, letting it fill you completely, and hold it softly for a moment. Then, as you exhale, imagine any tightness dissolving, leaving only warmth and tranquility. One more time, breathe in deeply, and as you exhale, feel yourself sinking further, calm and serene. Now, let's guide each part of the body to soften, inviting rest with every breath. Start with your forehead, allowing it to relax completely as you exhale. Move to your jaw, releasing any tension, letting it rest gently. Now, bring awareness to your shoulders. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, let them fall, as though setting down the weight of endless tasks. Allow your arms and hands to grow heavy, resting peacefully by your sides. Notice the steady rise and fall in your chest and belly, inhaling as your belly rises, and on the exhale, releasing any last bits of tightness, feeling light and free. Shift your focus to your hips and thighs, letting them sink deeper into the bed, fully supported and relaxed. And finally, bring attention to your calves, feet, and toes, allowing them to release completely, grounded and calm. Now, imagine yourself on the peak of Olympus, where clouds drift quietly and the sky stretches wide and unending. In the distance, you see Zeus, his gaze fixed upon the world below, every storm, river, and star held within his reach. Yet, as he extends his influence farther and farther, even he begins to feel the weight of his own ambitions, each strand pulled taut, each choice creating strain in the very fabric of his rule. With each breath, feel yourself surrounded by the calm and strength of this moment, as though you too understand the quiet need for balance and simplicity. Inhale deeply, letting the calm and depth of the scene fill you, and exhale, feeling grounded, steady, and fully at ease. With your body relaxed and your mind open, allow the story to carry you into this world of power, responsibility, and timeless wisdom, where even the mightiest rulers must find their limits. Take one last deep breath in and let it out softly. Now, let us begin. As king of the gods, Zeus was not only the ruler of Olympus, but the enforcer of divine order across the cosmos. For centuries, he had managed both realms with strength and authority, maintaining a careful balance between gods and mortals, chaos and order. But as his reign grew longer, so did his obsession with control. He watched the mortal world with an ever-vigilant eye, concerned not only with loyalty to Olympus, but also with the growing independence of humanity. Mortals, who had once turned to the gods for every need, were learning to rely on their own strength, building cities, waging wars, and crafting their own legends. To Zeus, this independence felt like a threat, a challenge to the divine authority he had fought so hard to establish. And so, he extended his influence over mortals in ways unseen before, guiding kings, manipulating wars, and subtly shaping human destiny to reinforce his supremacy. He wanted to remind mortals of their place, to keep their reverence and fear for Olympus alive. Yet, his overreach did not end with mortals. On Olympus, Zeus began to monitor the actions of other gods, tightening his grip on their domains. His rule became more restrictive, his judgments increasingly severe, as he sought to ensure that no god or mortal would challenge his authority. What had once been a balanced rule turned into a fixation with control, a need to assert dominance that drove him to extend his reach further and further. In his pursuit of order, Zeus could not see the strain his overreach placed on those around him, a pressure that would soon reveal the limits of even his power. Zeus's obsession with control soon began to breed resentment among the lesser gods, who felt the weight of his rule pressing into their own domains. Gods and goddesses who once enjoyed freedom in their roles found themselves restricted, their powers overshadowed by Zeus's need to assert his authority. Hecate, goddess of magic, felt her influence waning as Zeus imposed limits on the mysteries she could reveal to mortals. Demeter, goddess of the harvest, grew frustrated as Zeus directed her blessings and curses upon cities and lands of his choosing, treating her domain as another tool for his influence. Even Hermes, the messenger god, felt the growing tension, Known for his autonomy and freedom, Hermes had always enjoyed a unique position on Olympus, moving between realms as he pleased. But Zeus began to dictate his missions, sending him to enforce the will of Olympus more frequently, eroding Hermes' sense of independence. To Hermes, this was an insult. He was not merely a servant of Olympus, but a god with his own powers and responsibilities. The resentment simmered quietly, but intensely. These lesser gods, feeling suffocated under Zeus's dominion, began to forge subtle alliances with one another, seeking autonomy within their own realms. Though they dared not oppose him openly, their dissatisfaction grew, and whispers of defiance began to circulate through Olympus. For the first time, the unity of the gods faltered, with lesser gods feeling more like subjects under Zeus's rule than equals in the celestial order. Zeus's relentless control over Olympus, intended to secure his rule, had instead begun to fracture it from within. Zeus's overreach extended deeply into the mortal world, where he imposed his will upon cities, rulers, and heroes. He dictated the outcomes of wars, controlled the fates of kingdoms, and even manipulated love and loyalty among mortals. But humanity, emboldened by generations of heroes, began to push back. Mortals were no longer content to be pawns in Olympus's schemes. They yearned for autonomy, for the freedom to make their own choices without divine intervention. Cities began to pray less fervently, their devotion waning as they saw their destinies manipulated by forces they could not control. Heroes, inspired by legends like Hercules and Odysseus, became symbols of mortal resilience, individuals who defied gods and carved their own paths. In this spirit, more and more mortals turned away from the gods, relying on their own strength and wisdom. Some even challenged the gods openly, questioning their place in mortal lives, leading to small acts of defiance that rippled through temples, rituals, and communities. Zeus observed this resistance with increasing concern, interpreting it as a direct challenge to his authority. His response was swift and harsh, sending storms, plagues, and curses upon those who dared to defy him. But his heavy hand only deepened the divide, as mortals grew ever more resentful of a god who would control their lives without understanding their struggles. To them, Zeus's interference was no longer a blessing, but a curse, and their reverence turned to fear, then to frustration, and finally to quiet rebellion. In his obsession with control, Zeus had transformed himself from a protector of mortals to a tyrant, and humanity's loyalty began to slip beyond his grasp. The tension from Zeus's overreach began to wear down the very fabric of Olympus. The gods, now divided between loyalty and resentment, found it harder to work together. Divine councils, once places of vibrant debate and unity, grew silent as gods withheld their thoughts, fearing Zeus's judgment. Even the seasons, once seamlessly controlled by divine order, began to feel the strain, with disruptions in the cycles of life affecting both Olympus and the mortal world. Athena, goddess of wisdom, watched with growing concern as Olympus fractured under the weight of Zeus's control. She attempted to counsel him, warning of the dangers of overextension, urging him to loosen his grip and trust in the strength of the other gods. But Zeus, proud and resolute, saw her caution as a challenge, refusing to acknowledge that his actions could be flawed. To him, control was synonymous with order, and he could not see that his relentless rule was breeding chaos within his own kingdom. The fates, too, took notice. The fabric of destiny itself seemed to strain under the weight of Zeus's will as he attempted to alter the threads of life and death, power and consequence beyond what even he was meant to control. Olympus, once a place of harmony and power, began to feel like a fractured realm, where each god retreated into their own domains, seeking refuge from the suffocating grasp of the king who had once united them. Zeus's refusal to yield control had weakened his kingdom from Athen, and the gods felt the creeping disillusionment that marked the beginning of Olympus's decline. One of the most notable consequences of Zeus's overreach was his conflict with Poseidon, god of the sea. Known for his own pride and sense of authority, Poseidon had always maintained a measure of respect for Zeus, yet he valued his autonomy over the seas. But as Zeus began to dictate the tides, storms, and domains of the ocean, Poseidon's patience wore thin. He felt his brother's interference was an encroachment on his realm, a blatant show of disregard for his own authority as a god. Poseidon confronted Zeus, demanding that he cease his control over the seas, reminding him that the power of Olympus depended on each god's strength and independence. But Zeus, unwilling to be questioned, dismissed Poseidon's concerns. The two gods clashed, their confrontation sending tremors through Olympus and stirring the oceans below. Poseidon's storms and Zeus's lightning raged against each other, leaving the world below to suffer the consequences of their struggle. Though their battle eventually subsided, it left an indelible mark on Olympus. The gods, watching their leaders fight over territory and control, began to see cracks in the foundation of Zeus's rule. If even Poseidon, a god of immense strength and respect, was willing to defy Zeus, then perhaps the king of Olympus was no longer the unassailable figure he once was. The clash revealed a vulnerability in Zeus's rule, a sign that his obsession with control was driving even his most loyal allies away. The confrontation between Zeus and Poseidon became a symbol of the growing disunity within Olympus, each god more willing than ever to question the king's absolute rule. In the rare quiet that followed his clash with Poseidon, Zeus found himself reflecting on the path his rule had taken. He remembered the days when he had first claimed the throne of Olympus, when his authority had brought peace and order after the chaos of the Titanomachy. He had ruled with purpose and vision, guiding both gods and mortals with wisdom. But now, as he looked upon Olympus, he saw a kingdom fractured by his own actions. Zeus's need for control had isolated him, turning allies into rivals, subjects into enemies. He saw the weariness in the eyes of his fellow gods, the discontent that lingered in their voices. For the first time, he questioned whether his approach had been misguided, whether his relentless hold on power was more a symptom of fear than strength. Yet, bound by pride, he struggled to admit this even to himself, unwilling to accept that his own actions could be the cause of Olympus's decline. His reflection was brief, yet profound. Zeus knew that his kingdom was strained, yet he felt trapped by his own need for control, unable to relinquish the power he had worked so hard to establish. In his silent moments, Zeus felt the weight of his own choices, an uncomfortable realization that his strength could not hold Olympus together forever. The tale of Zeus's overextension became a warning to all of Olympus, a story of power pushed to its limits, leaving a realm once united now on the brink of division. The gods, worn down by Zeus's control, retreated into their own domains, their loyalty to Olympus tested by the king's relentless reach. Mortals, too, grew disillusioned, turning away from a god who sought to control every aspect of their lives, seeking freedom in their own strength rather than divine favor. Olympus, though still mighty, stood weakened by the strain of Zeus's rule. The once unified realm felt fragile, each god carrying the weight of discontent and mistrust, each mortal finding new sources of hope beyond Olympus. The gods saw their king not as the benevolent ruler they had once revered, but as a figure isolated by his own need for power, a ruler whose strength was slowly becoming his greatest weakness. In the shadows of Olympus, the whispers grew louder, each god feeling the weight of Zeus's overreach, each mortal sensing the distant fall of a kingdom that had once been untouchable. Zeus's obsession with control had fractured the very kingdom he sought to protect, leaving Olympus on the edge of a decline that would shape the fate of gods and mortals alike. But Zeus's need for control was only the beginning of Olympus's challenges. Join us in the next episode as we explore the rise of mortal faiths, a new force that would drive humanity away from Olympus, weakening the gods as mortals sought their own path. Discover how Zeus and the gods would face the unprecedented challenge of being forgotten. Until we meet again, may your path be filled with peace, strength, and a touch of magic. I'm young Homer, and I look forward to our next story together.